composite atlas, with its beautiful red Morocco binding, was made for Louis, Dauphin of France, the only surviving son of King Louis XV. As heir apparent, he received the title Dauphin, but he died prematurely in 1765 and never ascended to the throne. His legacy fared much better, as three of his sons went on to become king: Louis XVI, Louis XVIII, and Charles X. The Dauphin's coat of arms appears on the cover of the atlas in gilt with dolphins and fleur-de-lis, symbols which were repeated on the spine of the atlas.
Louis had a complicated relationship with his father, the king. Louis XV once said, "My son is lazy, quick-tempered and moody. He is not interested in hunting, women or pleasure. But he really does love goodness. He's genuinely virtuous and is not without intelligence." He was indeed intellectually curious. He collected books and art and became a talented musician on the organ, the harpsichord and the violin. He had an excellent knowledge of Latin and spoke fluent English, which was really rare for a prince at that time. Louis's literary tastes were varied. He read Virgil and Homer and was fascinated by Hume's monumental history of England. He took a particular interest in the military arts from a young age. In his private apartments at Versailles, Louis had his library decorated with overdoors of naval paintings from Joseph Vernet.
The present atlas reflects Louis's interest and passion for military campaigns. The volume features 36 engraved maps focusing on Italy, which was an important and contested battleground during the War of Austrian Succession. All but 3 of the maps are by leading French cartographers, dating from 1653 to 1753. This period reflects the French cartographic dominance over its Dutch predecessors, ushered in by the accession of Louis XIV and his shrewd minister Jean-Baptiste Colbert. Many of the maps are by the famed French cartographer Alexis-Hubert Jaillot. He trained as a sculptor and an artist, but when he went to marry the daughter of Nicolas Beret, the Illuminaire de la Reine, he became in an ideal position to establish his own map publishing house. His artistic tendencies became one of the signature features of his maps, which often feature elaborate and allegorical cartouches and other decorative flourishes. The Map and Plan of Malta by Gervais de Palmius of 1751 to 1752 is one of the highlights in this atlas. De Palmius dedicated both to Louis-François Bourbon, Prince of Conti and the Grand Prior of the Order of St. John in France. Unlike the Dauphin, the Prince of Conti had a successful military career during the War of Austrian Succession and for a time commanded the army in Italy. When he retired, he was rewarded with the title of Grand Prior of the Knights of the Order of Malta.
The map is the largest and most detailed printed representation of the area that would serve as the model for a number of maps in the decades to come by cartographers at home and abroad. On the southeast coast of Malta, de Palmius notes the location of the Temple of Heracles, which is better known as Tas Silk, occupying the highest point of the Delimara Peninsula overlooking the Great Horseshoe Bay below. Tas Silk has been a major sanctuary since the Neolithic period. It includes a megalithic temple complex dating from the early 3rd century BC, and during the Roman period, the site became an international religious complex dedicated to the goddess Juno. The island of Gozo is notable for its inclusion of Fort Chambray, overlooking the Megar harbour, which had only been constructed 3 years prior in 1749. The new governor of Gozo at the time, Jacques-François de Chambray, personally funded the construction. Chambray had taken an active role in the struggle of the Maltese Knights against the Ottoman Empire for the previous 3 decades, and the fort was his final grand contribution to the efforts. Along with his map of Malta, de Palmius published a plan of the capital, Valletta, with a staggering 320 place names identified. The view shows the planimetries of the urban area and the massive fortifications and creeks and harbours that highlight the strategic military aspect of the island.
José Chafrion's impressive 8-sheet map, entitled Topografia de la Liguria, is also included in the atlas. As one of only 3 foreign cartographers represented, Chafrion was a leading Spanish cartographer and military engineer who spent a significant portion of his career in Milan. The map played a key role because in this period, Liguria represented an important strategic link between Spain and Milan, which was in Spanish possession from 1535 until 1706. The road network and borders are delineated with great accuracy, from the main coastal route, which runs through the region through its entire length, and there are numerous branches connecting the Riviera inland. Chafrion's map represents a marked progress in the cartographic representations of the area, making it an essential cornerstone of depictions of Ligurian territory in its entirety that would be imitated and copied in the decades to come. Another highlight in the atlas is Pere Placide de Saint-Helene's 5-sheet map tracing the course of the River Po from the Cottian Alps to the Adriatic Sea, passing through Turin and Ferrara and connecting Milan through a series of channels called navigli, which Leonardo da Vinci helped to design.
This map is the first dedicated solely to following the course of Italy's longest river, and is also the largest, spanning 2.5 metres in length when joined. According to Greek mythology, amber originates from the banks of the river Po. Phaeton, son of Helios, met his death in the river, and his sisters cried tears of amber onto the banks before being turned into poplar trees.
This atlas is an embodiment of the great age of French cartography during the 17th and 18th centuries, with its detailed maps and views of Italy. With its historical ties to Louis, the Dauphin, the volume is a fitting reflection of the intellectual curiosity and personal passions of the king that never was.